Welcome to Doctoring the Truth, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on healthcare gone wrong. I'm your host, Jenna Tennell, and with me is my delightful co-host, Amanda House. We're two doctors of audiology here to bring you inside real-life cases where once trusted healthcare providers veered off the ethical path into criminal territory. Amanda!
Jenna!
Hi!
Hello.
How the heck are you?
Thriving. How are you?
Well, here's the thing. I've got two grievances that I want to air here. Grievance number one, and this is the obligatory weather report. That effing groundhog has done us a dirty. We have another 6 weeks of winter, at least.
I feel like he sees his shadow every year, so I just always expect that.
I mean, is it bad? I was just so hopeful this year because it's been so bad for the entire United States. Okay, second grievance. I spent at least 2 weeks planning. Okay, first of all, let me back up. You know me, and you know that sometimes I can get a little bit competitive when it comes to
anything?
Most things, but but extremely competitive when it comes to my cooking. I take pride. I got to be the best. And I hone my recipes over the years and whatever. So I spent 2 weeks planning for my daughter's fundraiser chili cook-off, of which I am a proud chili cook-off winner for it was probably like 2010 cook-off, the last time we did a cook-off at work. So anyway, I was like, this is it. I'm going in. I'm going to win. It's all good. I'm going to look like the hero. So I have my special recipe, but my daughter was like, we need a gimmick. And she's right. We need like a topping or something to like really entice the people that, this is a cut above the rest. So, and it's a delicate balance because also I can't knock their socks off with spice because we're in Minnesota and ketchup is spicy, right? So I developed this recipe that's like gentle heat in the beginning and then just kind of a slow burn. And it's like smoky and like,
sounds good.
It's gonna get you. And I know ever since you told me you didn't like beans, I've realized I can use refried beans to like thicken it and make it creamy without the beans. So I was doing that, and I have pork and beef and stuff in this chili, and then secret ingredient. So I tenderly make this thing. I mean, and I have to make, I don't know. I was supposed to make 4 gallons, and your girl doesn't really know math, so I made 2 massive 6-gallon crock pots.
Jeez. Also 4 gallons, that's so much chili.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that come to this thing. So, and I think normally there's about 15 to 20 chilies. This time I think there was 18 entries. So my daughter's like, you know what? Let's do something that nobody else does. So we started talking about, well, what kind of toppings would be interesting and unique and still taste good. We've settled on whipped goat cheese, which it's goat cheese, soft goat cheese that's we whipped with like sour cream and some cream cheese. I mean, so it was like just enough against that smoky heat to really mellow it out and give it that farm fresh taste. Okay. And some scallions. So we call it the capital GOAT, greatest of all time, but also play on.
Yeah, I like it.
Texan chili. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? This is it. I'm a hero. So the night carries on and the chili cook-off is off and running. And I'm getting lots of compliments. I'm getting lots of votes. But you know what? I came in second place. And you know what's worse than that?
Wah,
The winner
wah.
The winner was a ninth grader, people. A ninth grader.
I'm like, okay, the ninth grader didn't do all that by themselves, so don't beat yourself up. You know there was a parent in the kitchen helping.
But even their parents, come on, wasn't better than this. I just know it. I'm a bad loser, but I had to pretend to be a good loser. Congratulate the little.
And 72 hours later, it's still eating her alive.
It is. I mean, what kind of a ninth grader? Now he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. And I'm just like, you know what, dude? You have to earn this. There needs to be experience, a trial and error. But anyway, obviously I'm a sore loser, so that's my second grievance. But listen, how you doing? How's our newest member of the alley cat tribe?
Good. Yeah, everyone's
our little baby cat.
Everyone's doing good, little baby cat. Yeah, everyone's doing really good. Thanks for asking.
Good. Oh. And your maternity leave is, some would say, a vacation, and I'm here to say absolutely not a vacation. It's a sleepless grind of, if you're lucky, 2 people dealing with this powerful new force in the world. Yeah. So I feel.
Yeah, luckily I have an excellent husband, excellent partner. So I do say hats off to anyone who doesn't have that and or does this by themselves, because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And you have my permission to smack anyone who says that you do enjoy your relaxing little holiday. Because the insinuation is, oh, gosh,
just at home snuggling the baby. Which
right.
brings me to like a slight grievance of my own, which is just a personal rant, honestly, but I want to make it quick. If anyone had heard about the like paid Minnesota family, whatever, leave, can I just say what a clusterfuck? Like, well, just like,
we'll tell people.
Okay, so first of all, it was advertised from my perspective as like family bonding leave, where like if you have a baby or you adopt a baby or like you're caring for a new baby, you and or your spouse, partner, family member, whoever can take up to 20 weeks of leave to bond and care for this new baby, which sounds excellent, nice. Right? And that is excellent. Love that. Thanks, Minnesota. Except I thought it was only for this new baby situation, but when you go and apply for this leave, it encompasses so many things. I feel like anyone in Minnesota could take this leave. You can take it to take care of your neighbor. Like basically anyone would qualify to take a leave, it feels like. And so they've been inundated with applications. And so it's taking forever for applications to be approved. And so my payroll is just stopped until Minnesota figures out the approval button. And it's very clear. I have a doctor's note. I was in the hospital. I had a baby. I have a birth certificate. Just hit approve, Minnesota, if anyone from the state hears this. Because I'm not getting paid until you do.
Yeah, I mean, and when you have a new baby, hello, everything is so expensive.
And they're like... So for my specific situation, the short term is like, I'm not going to pay you until I know how much Minnesota's going to pay you. Because you obviously can't get more than 100% of your... So that's what they're waiting. So I just,
So you don't even get your normal...
No.
Hey.
Yeah, and it like maxes out at a certain amount. Whatever, it's a personal thing. But yeah, my husband and I both don't have a paycheck right now until they hit approve.
Oh, gosh. Oh my gosh, that's so hard. It's the unknown, I think. It's almost worse that you think you have this coming than if you didn't know about it.
Yeah, or like
it
feels a little like cart before horse. Like maybe we should have known we'd be inundated with applications. Anyway, it's whatever. Yeah. We're fine. It's just annoying.
Annoying, disconcerting, and a bit worrying, and I hope that turns around soon. I really do. I mean, and if you look at places like Denmark or other places in Europe where they actually get a year off.
I know, oh my gosh.
Maternity leave, and that's like, I remember one of our ENTs, I think you were working there. Were you working there at the time I had Savannah? I can't remember.
No.
Anyway, she was shocked and appalled that I was going to take 12 weeks off.
Hmm.
And then I ended up not being able to afford it. So I had to go back to work. And luckily, my husband at the time was able to take some time off to do paternity leave. So, because you can't put your kid in daycare until
Yeah.
they're a certain age. So she wasn't old enough for daycare. And I had to go back to work because we couldn't afford it. And so, luckily he had some time. So he stayed home with her, but it wasn't paternity leave. It was just leave, his PTO. But it was right around the time, like 2 to 3 months old, where they start to look at you with interest and engage and gurgle and smile and laugh. And I was like, great. I don't get to be there during the time that my kid actually notices that I'm alive, that I'm a thing in their life. So, yeah, it's really, we have it backwards in the U.S. Anyway, I feel
Get it together, the U.S., honestly,
Right?
in so many ways.
Oh, so
Which
many
we can't
ways
even
that-
go down that rabbit hole because otherwise we'll never get to this episode.
No, we won't. And yeah, there might be some fist slamming on the table as we talk about it. But listen,
do
we have any correction? Listen, learn. No, I was trying to copy murder. My favorite murder. They say, look and listen. We're going to say, listen, learn. Speaking of learning, have we got any corrections?
Well,
or additions to our last episode?
I guess you would know about it because you were the one that received the text from someone that I don't have their phone number. But someone that listens from California texted Jenna about if the FDA had changed the verbiage surrounding like ear candle companies being able to use the wording of earwax removal, I think it was. So I did look into that today. I finished my homework today. Thank you. A new mom out here just doing homework. So the answer is that yes, the FDA has taken regulatory action to force ear candling companies to stop using medical claims like wax removal in their marketing and labeling. According to the FDA, any device marketed with the intent to remove earwax is classified as a medical device that requires official clearance or approval before it can be sold. And since the FDA has found no scientific evidence that ear candles actually remove wax or provide any medical benefit, they consider such labels as false and misleading. So I hope that clears that up if anyone else was wondering the same thing.
Listen, I think we can safely name this friend of the pod, Dr. Amit Gosalia. Thank you so much for weighing in on what's happening now. And if anyone has their finger on the pulse of legislative change, it's our friend Amit. And, we're trying to get him on the pod too, because he's a very dynamic speaker with lots of good information. So thank you for providing that, Amit.
Don't be scared. Just join us whenever.
Yeah. In your busy life. Listen, I got to talk about our sponsor. It's a new year and it's time to lock in those health and wellness fitness goals, which makes me giggle because I thought I was going to lock in some health and wellness fitness goals. But on my 4-hour commute, I sat on my left butt cheek the whole time and I ended up with a sciatica issue where it was pinched and my entire leg was on fire and I limped around like an old woman for, I don't know, 5 days before somebody took pity on me and gave me a lacrosse ball to roll around on my butt cheek on and release those nerves. And so anyway, I'm fine now. But anyway, my health and wellness fitness goals are starting now. But luckily, we have Handful activewear that has redefined what women's activewear should be. Designed by women for women, Handful sports bras and compression leggings are meant to move with you, no matter how you work out or live your life. From yoga and running to strength training and everything in between, this is gear that adapts, supports, and performs. Each piece is crafted with moisture-wicking fabric, serious support, and a sleek, flattering fit. I mean, who doesn't want that? But looks just as good outside the gym as it does inside. Handful stands out by creating multifunctional activewear that empowers women to feel strong, confident, and comfortable all day long. All day long. All day. Once you try Handful, you'll feel the difference. Upgrade your activewear and experience the freedom to move, perform, and live without limits. Shop Handful activewear now at handful.com and use our code Stay Suspicious for a whopping 30% off. 30% off. That's crazy. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about fertility fraud. And my trigger warning for this episode is that there is sexual abuse. And we're not going to go too much into detail, but, there's enough that's disturbing. So if that's a trigger for you, I understand, and I recommend you listen to some of our archived episodes. So the resources for this show draw primarily on court records, investigative journalism, and first-person accounts from Jacoba Ballard and other donor-conceived individuals affected by the actions of former fertility doctor Donald Klein. Key reporting sources include CBS News, The Atlantic, The New York Times, and the Netflix documentary entitled Our Father. Remaining sources will be cited in our show notes. So, alley cats. It's a quiet moment, an ordinary one. A phone vibrates on a kitchen counter while coffee cools in a mug nearby. The notification isn't urgent. It doesn't carry a warning tone. It simply says that results are ready. A DNA test, taken out of curiosity or boredom or a vague interest in ancestry, but nothing about it feels like it should change a life. The person who opens the app already knows who they are. They know who raised them. They know the story that they've been told about how they came into the world. There's no reason to expect anything unusual. Until the screen refreshes and a close family match appears. Too close to be a cousin. Too close to be a coincidence. At first, it's brushed off. A mistake, maybe. A glitch. Consumer DNA tests aren't perfect. So the person refreshes the app, half expecting the match to disappear, but it doesn't. Another name appears, then another, and each one shares the same birth year, the same city. How could this happen? That question has become the starting point for dozens of stories around the world. Stories that did not come to light through whistleblowers or regulators or internal reviews. These are stories that surface because adult children compared DNA results and realized something fundamental had been taken from them without consent. This is a story about fertility fraud, about trust placed in medicine, and about how, for decades, what happened to these families wasn't considered a crime at all. Fertility fraud is a term that sounds technical, almost abstract. In practice, it refers to something brutally simple: a medical professional knowingly misrepresenting whose genetic material is used to create a child. In some cases, doctors substituted one donor for another. In others, they used fresh samples instead of promised frozen ones. And in the most extreme cases, they used their own sperm. Sometimes dozens of times, across years or even decades. These acts were hidden behind medical authority and a near total absence of oversight. Before consumer DNA testing, there was no practical way to detect the deception. Clinics controlled the records, donors were anonymous, and patients were encouraged not to ask too many questions. Doctors were trusted. When confronted years later, some physicians minimized their actions, and others justified them. One doctor said, "Using my own sperm was more efficient." And another insisted, "No one was harmed." And those statements were often delivered without apology.
Oh my God.
I'm so angry. Okay. Debbie Pierce longed for children from the bottom of her soul. She and her husband struggled to conceive, eventually discovering that her husband was unable to conceive. In 1980, the couple went to a well-known fertility doctor in the area, Dr. Donald Klein. He appeared professional, efficient, and understanding. He assured the couple that he would match them up with a donor that looked a lot like Debbie's husband, and that it would be a medical student. They were assured that a single donor was never used with more than 3 recipients. And so Debbie underwent artificial insemination, and in 1981, the couple joyfully welcomed a baby girl named Jacoba to their family. Jacoba is a beautiful woman with blonde hair, blue eyes, and light skin, but she always felt different being surrounded by her family of people with dark hair and olive skin. In the documentary Our Father, she says, "So I kept asking my mom if I was adopted. I kept reassuring them, it's fine if I am. You can tell me, it will be okay. And finally, my mom told me when I was 10 that I was from donor sperm." Jacoba always longed for siblings. She was 18 in 1999 when she called Dr. Klein and asked him for a donor number or her mother's medical records. He firmly and politely told her that those records were destroyed and that she could never know that information, telling her good luck before hanging up the phone. Jacoba went on to marry and have children of her own, acknowledging that her longing for a sibling connection never truly went away. Prior to 1985, sperm donations were kept live. Jan, Klein's nurse of 13 years, reported that she used to go to the hospital across the street from the fertility practice to pick up samples from donors there, which were typically from medical residents. The samples needed to be kept warm, so she recalls transporting them across the street in her bra to keep them safe.
God. Wow.
Right? That's dedication to
I
the
just
job.
think like things have come a long way. What?
Oh, I hope they have. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then in 2014, that's when 23andMe, which is the company that offers DNA testing for genetics and ancestry information, became widely advertised. So Jacoba was 35 at that time, and she decided to take a DNA test, hoping that she'd be able to find a sibling. She received her results in the fall of that year, and it came back that she was related to 7 siblings. She was both excited and concerned, thinking to herself, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? She remembered that her parents had been assured that there would be no more than 3 recipients per donor. She contacted the half-siblings who had appeared on her account, and they also began to wonder how this was possible. So Jacoba began plotting out a family tree, joking, wouldn't it be crazy if it was the doctor? Probably not, but we'll go through this journey together, said those close to her. She and her half-siblings focused on paternal matches and matched a woman named Sylvia, who was a cousin. One of the names in Sylvia's family was Swinford, and Swinford was Donald Klein's mother's maiden name. This is when the penny dropped. Donald Klein was Sylvia's cousin and Jacoba's father. Jacoba filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office for the state of Indiana. Nobody returned her calls. She reached out to the U.S. Attorney General's office. Crickets. She started reaching out to news outlets, and nobody wanted the story. Local news, national news stations, nobody would pick it up or return her calls or her messages. And one day, Jacoba was watching the news and realized she forgot somewhat. She had forgotten to send it to Angela Ganote, who's a reporter for Fox 59 News. In February of 2015, Angela logged into Facebook and saw Jacoba's message. She was struck with the compelling evidence and the lack of response from the Attorney General's office. Angela reached out to Donald Klein, and Dr. Klein denied everything, saying there was no way possible that there were more than 3 siblings as a donor was only used up to 3 times. So Angela asked him for a sample of his sperm. I mean, if he's not the father, he can help put their minds at ease. I love her. And he refused, of course. So when they first aired the story, she wasn't allowed to use his name, which was hard for everyone because they could only identify him if they had a DNA test done on him to prove it. One of Jacoba's half-sisters then messaged all of Klein's children and grandchildren that were over the age of 18 and told them, "Our mothers underwent fertility treatment. Did someone in your family donate sperm?" A week or two later, Klein's son and daughter from Dr. Klein and his wife reached out and agreed to meet Jacoba in person to talk. They said they'd talked to their dad and that he did admit he was their biological father, but that the only time he used his own sperm was when he didn't have access to a donor. And as far as siblings go, there were absolutely no more than 10.
What a conversation for the dinner table. What? Oh my gosh.
So then in the documentary, the next screen comes up and says, sibling number 14. He's just promised there's no more than 10. Sibling number 14, Julie Harmon, was watching the news one night when Jacoba's story appeared. Her husband immediately pointed out how much his wife and Jacoba looked alike. He told Julie, I don't think this is going to end well. I want you to be aware of that. Julie asked her mother about it and asked if she should go get tested, but her mother said she didn't think it was necessary because she had brought her husband's sperm in for the insemination and was told that it was her husband's sperm that was used for the procedure at Dr. Klein's office. But Julie had a nagging feeling and contacted Jacoba anyway, who told her that she should take a test. And if Dr. Klein was the donor, Jacoba's name would come up on the results as a match. In the documentary, Julie described feeling that her identity was washed away and that she really didn't know who she was anymore. Her mother was devastated as well. And then her mother had to tell her husband that he wasn't the biological father of their daughter. She told him, we're just now finding out that Julie is not yours. And her father began crying, and he said, he's taken everything away from me.
That's so sad.
Oh, I know. Dr. Klein's son, Doug, arranged a meeting with Jacoba and 5 half-siblings and Dr. Klein at Jacoba's request. She noted that he marched solemnly into the room with a cane and without an expression on his face. She noticed also that he was packing heat. I mean, who brings a gun to a family reunion? What the hell?
Someone who doesn't know how many children are going to show up.
So he introduced himself and then went around the table asking everyone's name, age, and what they did for a profession, because that's the most important, right?
Yeah.
He was almost like ranking them, and Jacoba felt like they were being judged. The siblings asked Klein about his medical history because some of them had autoimmune disorders. He dismissed their question with a patronizing comment about how you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'm perfect. Don't worry.
In the documentary, Jacoba recalls that Klein had a piece of paper with scripture on it. Jeremiah 1:5. Quote, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. He conveniently left out the part about how this was about God's rebirth knowledge, setting apart, and divine appointment of Jeremiah for his prophetic calling, according to Christian belief. So now I'm going to play a soundbite from the documentary about this.
One of my favorite scriptures was Jeremiah 1:5. If you'll remember, it says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you.
Yeah.
And that tells me, and it should tell everybody, that no one is born as a mistake.
Before I knew you in your mother, what was it? It's
Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5.
which really just kind of nails it all home that he knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was doing with us.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
What a weirdo.
And by the way, in the Christian religion, God allows evil to transpire, not because he endorses it, but because it allows freedom of choice. So this verse in no way legitimizes Klein's behavior, even in his own religion. Jacoba says, I remember him looking at me and trying to hand this verse to me, saying, Jacoba, this is for you. And Jacoba says, I remember telling him, put that shit away. You're not going to use my God to justify your actions. I love her.
Get it, girl. That is some queen shit.
I know. So the meeting ended with Dr. Klein attempting to reassure everyone that there was absolutely no more then 15 siblings.
God.
We went from 3 to 15, by the way, now. Okay. So fast forward to sibling number 17, Matt White. I just felt bad for my mother, he said in the documentary, describing how Dr. Klein fed off of a young woman's hopes and longings for a family, and that he believes that Dr. Klein is a sick individual to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Liz, yeah, amen. Liz, Matt's mother, described how she had multiple visits to Klein's office and that he was always somehow the only one in the office. And she had appointments during the week, on weekends, it could be in the day or in the evenings, and somehow he was always alone. Now she's stuck with the horrible knowledge that he was preparing the quote unquote donation on his own in the other room while she was propped up on the stirrups waiting for him.
See, that's what freaks me out the most.
Right?
Like, what?
It's disgusting. She stated in the documentary, when Matt's DNA test results first came in, my first words were, I was raped 15 times and didn't even know it.
Oh.
I know. Dr. Klein was known as the best of the best fertility doctors in the area. He performed procedures like tubal repairs that other doctors weren't doing at the time. He was an elder in his church, a philanthropist who was beloved in his community. His office staff and former business partner were flabbergasted when asked, how could this happen? It just was never anything they could conceive of. I mean, he could go off into his private office and return with a vial for insemination, and no one would question where he got it. Especially if it's coming out of his nurse's bra. I mean, like, obviously there wasn't a lot of tracking going on.
But I'm also like, if everyone knows it needs to stay warm, like, and you're coming out of your office with it.
That's a good point.
That's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. So, and also the anonymity of the donors was a perfect cover for his perverted practices. His nurse talked about how he presented a very professional demeanor, though. He was like a stern father figure, noting that he's not going to sit around and chat with you. Not a warm guy, speaking of warm, his former colleagues referred to him as arrogant. They did not mince words. So, like in a documentary where people are like, yeah, he's my friend. And then they just launch right into, yeah, he's an arrogant asshole. Okay. Yeah, he was definitely, that was probably watered down compared to what they felt. One person said he was okay. I mean, he was obviously a bright guy. He was always confident and self-assured. I mean, if you knew something and he knew something, he knew more. That was his attitude.
Well, yeah, we fucking love a one-upper.
Yeah, oh my God. A one-upper. One woman, get this, with a PhD in neurobiology who works with premature babies as a licensed occupational therapist, recalled how he would belittle her and comment on her lack of knowledge on child development, which was her specialty. I mean, she has a PhD in neurobiology and then is a licensed OT as well. What the hell, dude?
Stay in your lane, sir.
Oh, man. Yeah. Angela noted, so Angela's the reporter, noted that Dr. Klein refused to answer her questions because of HIPAA, he said. And then he made it very clear that she better be careful or Fox 59 could be sued. Okay, then our badass Jacoba got busy. She researched. She called the Attorney General's office over and over again, requesting a response or a status update, anything. She researched the minutia of Dr. Klein's life, his articles, his blogs, his conference appearances, everything. She was convinced that he wanted her to keep quiet because there were more siblings. Sibling number 22, Heather Wook. I know. Heather's hubby got her a DNA test as a gift, and then she got a message from someone saying, I think we're related. Once she found out, she recalled an identity crisis similar to what others had experienced. She was heartbroken to find out that her eyes and her hair color weren't from her dad. She found it hard to go about her daily life and especially hard to look in the mirror. Whose eyes are looking back at me, she must have wondered. Her parents told her that Dr. Klein had told them not to tell her, that she didn't need to know and would never find out. Jacoba's stomach clenched every time a new sibling popped up online. She knew that she would be making a life-changing and traumatic phone call every single time. Sibling number 33, Lisa Shepard Stidham. Lisa also asked for a DNA test for Christmas and was confused when lots of names of people that she didn't recognize were coming through as, quote, close relatives, unquote. When Julie Harmon saw Lisa's name, she realized she knew Lisa. Their kids were on the same basketball team together. She called Lisa and asked her if she'd taken an ancestry test recently and whether or not she'd heard of the Dr. Klein fertility scandal. She thought to herself, surely Julie was crazy, but she called her mother nonetheless. Her mother told her that her father had a low sperm count and they'd seen Dr. Klein twice for artificial insemination, but that both times her father had gone with her mother and provided his own sample. So then Lisa not only had to absorb the fact that her father wasn't her bio-father, she then had to drop the devastating bomb and tell her parents that her father wasn't her bio-father. And they had no idea. On top of all that, she had to have a talk with her children about dating and that they needed to check out anyone that they wanted to get involved with because there were so many of Klein's offspring in the local area of a 25-mile radius that there were likely many more that weren't known about. One sibling shared that every sibling alert was a gut punch. And she would pray that she didn't know the person, and especially that it wasn't anyone she dated.
I didn't even think about all that.
Oh, I know. So when you first hear about it, like, oh, it sounds horrible. But then you learn more and more and more about how devastating this is and how many aspects of your life are just, it's just traumatizing. It really grabbed me. So, but meanwhile, it's time for a
Chart note. Wow.
In true Ellie Cat form.
Yes, we are not good. We know.
Well, it's not. We intentionally are not good, right? I mean, we could be good if we wanted to.
Totally.
But then we wouldn't be alley cats. Alley cats aren't known for being on key or harmonizing. Okay, that's what this story I'm going to tell myself because I lost the chili contest.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
To a 9th grader. Don't forget that.
To a 9th grader. Ouch. Welcome to the Chart Note, where we learn about what's happening in medicine and healthcare. So this week I'm just doing kind of an overview because I've been looking at a lot of different articles. And honestly, at this point in the game, we're in our 50s. I can't remember which of these things we've talked about specifically. But overall, I just want everyone to know it's a promising shift that I'm noticing with these articles in modern medicine. It's not a flashy new drug, but it's how medicine looks like it's finally learning to listen. So across major health systems, AI-assisted diagnostics are being rolled out, not to replace clinicians, but to catch what humans sometimes miss. In radiology, machine learning tools are flagging early-stage cancers like breast, lung, and colorectal cancers with accuracy rates that rival specialist rates, and they're doing it earlier when treatment is less invasive and survival rates are higher. Importantly, these systems are being audited for bias and used as second readers, not final decision makers. So think of them as guardrails, not autopilot. At the same time, long overdue progress in women's health is finally picking up speed. So conditions like endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome, historically dismissed, underfunded, and underdiagnosed, are seeing an influx of targeted research dollars. New non-invasive diagnostics are shortening diagnosis times from years to months, and clinical trials are increasingly requiring sex-specific data instead of treating women as statistical noise. I'm so tired of being statistical noise.
I know.
And then there's medicine's quiet accountability era. Hospitals are expanding real-time safety monitoring systems that flag medication errors, device malfunctions, and near-miss events before patients are harmed. So these aren't punishment systems, they're learning systems. When something almost goes wrong, the question is no longer who messed up, but what allowed this to happen and how do we stop it everywhere? None of this erases the damage done by negligence, greed, or silence in the past, but it does mean that the system is being forced although sometimes reluctantly, towards transparency, prevention, and patient-centered care. So today's chart note is this: medicine's getting better at documenting its own mistakes. And that's how healing actually begins. Now back to the story. Angela, our badass Fox 59 reporter, got ready to publish the segment revealing Dr. Klein's name. She emailed him to tell him they'd be using his name, and I thought that was nice. She offered to meet with him before going live with the story, telling him that now's the time to come clean to the public about what happened. He agreed to meet her, but not at the station. So she agreed to meet him at a restaurant near the station and was worried because she didn't know how he would react to being outed. And Jacoba had warned her that he carried a gun. Once they were seated, he asked her if she thought that the restaurant allowed guns, pointing to a bulge at his hip under his sweater.
Wow, what a badass.
What an asshole. He then proceeded to tell her that he knew where she lived and where her family lived. A poorly veiled threat. And then Angela recalled how he basically spent the better part of an hour begging her not to run the story and how it would ruin his marriage, his standing as an elder at his local church. But she stood firm and told him she had the burden to tell the truth and that the truth matters. This is when strange things started to happen, though. Jacoba noted that one morning she went out to her car and all of the lug nuts were missing on all 4 of her tires. I mean, come on.
Also, I don't know that I would notice that.
I don't know how she noticed that. I'm glad she did, because all 4 tires are, Julie's Google Drive was hacked, and all of the documents, emails, and evidence that were gathered on her drive about Dr. Klein were deleted, funnily enough. Heather began getting harassing phone calls, one from a cemetery asking if she wanted to buy a plot for her to be buried in. He's like a teenager. He harassed and stalked the siblings that had appeared on the news segment, telling the world their stories. He called Jacoba and threatened her verbally. But our heroine, Jacoba, isn't one to back down or be bullied into silence. Instead, she doubled down and vowed to expose him and all of his secrets. All the way back to 1963, when he hit a 4-year-old girl on a tricycle with his car and she died.
What the fuck?
She had darted out across the street, and it was an accident, but obviously this traumatized him. And this is when he said he turned his life around and found God. But colleagues speculated that perhaps in some twisted way, he felt that what he was doing with the inseminations was giving back children to make up for accidentally taking a child's life.
Nope. Far cry?
Yeah. I mean, not that we're supporting that theory, but someone who's, mentally unwell and has that traumatic experience, maybe using that in his mind somehow.
I mean, but also that's the colleagues' speculation. So I'm like, are we?
Yeah, that's probably nothing.
Supporting what he did, or justifying in a way? You know what I mean? Especially when half of you guys just thought he was an asshat anyway.
And they're just trying to find a reason or some explanation, like when someone murders somebody, why would they do
that?
that?
Right. Yeah. True,
not that they condone it. It's just,
trying to explain it away to themselves of how did this person do this? Because I'm guessing
how would one do that?
I don't know how many sibling numbers we're going to get to, but they keep climbing.
Well, at this point, we're at sibling number 48.
Good.
Jason Hyatt, 48. Jason took a DNA test to figure out why he looked so different from the rest of his family. He was expecting to see 5 to 10 hits, and what he got was over 3,000 hits. Dr. Klein's response to this allegation is that nothing happens unless God allows it. Going on to repeat that tired old verse that he's taking out of context. Before I formed you in your mother's womb, not her room, her womb room, I knew you. And that tells me, and it should tell everybody, that nobody's born as a mistake. Meanwhile, whenever Jacoba would get an email from the Attorney General's office, she would research all the names of the senders and those who were copied on these emails. And one day she noticed one of the email addresses ended in Quiverful, which is a cult that prescribed that everyone had to have as many children as possible to send out into the world as arrows for God. Quiverful is not a church that you can point to on a map. There's no central headquarters, there's no official membership list, and no single leader who speaks for everyone involved. But instead, Quiverful is a belief system, a Christian fundamentalist ideology that's built around one core idea, that God alone should decide how many children a family has, and that intentionally limiting reproduction is a form of rebellion against divine authority. The name Quiverful comes from Psalm 127, which describes children as arrows in a warrior's quiver. In this worldview, the more arrows you have, the stronger you are. Children are framed not just as blessings, but as spiritual weapons, tools to advance God's will, and in some interpretations, to reshape society itself. At the center of Quiverful belief is the rejection of birth control. Most adherents oppose contraception entirely, viewing it as a sinful interference with God's plan. This belief often extends to sterilization and, in some cases, fertility treatments as well. Women are expected to remain perpetually open to pregnancy, regardless of medical risk, financial strain, or personal desire. While not every family influenced by Quiverful beliefs is abusive, the ideology has drawn intense criticism for creating environments where abuse can thrive unchecked. The emphasis on obedience, submission, and male authority has, in documented cases, enabled physical abuse, sexual abuse, and medical neglect, especially when preserving family reputation or male leadership is prioritized over child safety. Quiverful gained mainstream visibility through reality television in the early 2000s, most notably with the Duggar family. Although not all large families publicly identify as Quiverful, many were influenced by overlapping movements and teachers, including the Institute in Basic Life Principles, or IBLP. That organization's founder, Bill Gothard, later faced numerous allegations of sexual misconduct, highlighting how authoritarian belief systems can shield abusers rather than survivors. Former members of Quiverful communities frequently describe long-term psychological harm, anxiety, fear of autonomy, lack of basic education, and profound trauma surrounding sexuality. And many women report that pregnancy was treated not as a medical condition, but as a spiritual obligation, even when it endangered their own lives. In the end, Quiverful is not simply about having large families. It's about control over women's bodies, children's minds, and the flow of information into tightly sealed households. It is an ideology that elevates obedience above well-being and faith above consent, often with devastating consequences. The Attorney General's office refused to investigate or provide information as to why they weren't looking into it. Jacoba and others wondered, could it be that the presence of a Quiverful member in the Attorney General's office had stymied the investigation? Angela Gannott, reporter extraordinaire, contacted the Attorney General's office as well as the Marion County Prosecutor's office and said, "Hello, is anyone listening?" They got back to her and apologized, telling her that they somehow missed her email of complaint. Tim Delaney, former prosecutor of Marion County, reported that when they got the complaint, there'd been no investigation up to that point, and that is morally objectionable as that was, there was no recourse, and that there wasn't an actual law that had been broken. There hadn't been an actual crime that touched that particular act, so legally it wasn't considered a violation. Jacoby looked at Tim and said, "So if I spit on your face right now, that wouldn't be considered battery?" And he said, "Well, yeah, it would." And she said, "So how does the rape and deceit of our mothers not constitute so much more than this?" And he stated he had to deliver the law, not catharsis. Unequal application of the law. Was there fraud? Was there sexual misconduct? Did anyone investigate it enough? There has to be force and non-consent for it to be considered sexual assault. The Indiana law regarding rape says that rape can include conduct that the victim does not know is sexual, but the perpetrator knows is sexual. In order for Dr. Klein to produce his sample, he had to masturbate in close proximity to the victim, who was unclothed from the waist down with a paper cloth covering her knees and her legs spread apart. Even if he wasn't affected by the patient herself, the fact that he was still under the effects of sexual arousal should raise suspicion. I mean, it makes it sexual touching, which is a sexual act. But Indiana juries were not ready to accept rape by deception theories. Instead, they'd be more likely to believe that the woman consented to insemination, so all bets are off.
Yeah,
So
from their husband or a donor, not the person putting it in.
So the question remains, does this woman's desire for a child legitimize Donald Klein's deception? But when victims were asked about whether they would have agreed to have Dr. Klein as their donor, the overwhelming response was a hell no.
No.
At some point, Dr. Klein reached out to the reporter Angela and told her that he was in touch with the Attorney General's office, and he told them that he was not the father, that he had not inseminated his sperm into anyone. So he admitted that he lied. And this is what came back to haunt him later. Angela reached out to the Attorney General and told him, he's lying to you. He's already admitted to me that he's done this. And in his correspondence with the Attorney General's office, he stated, I never knew the names of the frozen donors. I can emphatically say that at no time did I ever use my own sample for insemination, nor was I a donor at Fullest Laboratories. In fact, if this woman is saying this or writing this, I believe she's guilty of slander and libel. And I also question whether she has my ancestry records for reasons I prefer not to reveal. In summary, I know I followed suggested guidelines of the period when she was my patient. I also did nothing legally or morally wrong. I've been retired from practice since April 30th, 2009. So this led the Attorney General's office to the conclusion that they indeed needed to actually investigate. When they arrived at his residence, Dr. Klein said they should stay away because he was contagious with pneumonia.
Wow.
Regardless, the officers told him, wow, we still have a warrant and we need your DNA. So he had to oblige them with a cheek swab. The investigator later said he didn't look like he was enjoying that cheek swab.
Yeah, no kidding.
Results came back 99.99% that he was Jacoba's biological father. When asked how many times he used his semen to inseminate women, he claimed he had no idea because all the records were destroyed conveniently. So, worried about the charges, Klein, having been charged with obstruction of justice, changed his plea to guilty. Jacoba's victim impact statement in court was this: every time I or my half-siblings look up our name, we all have the same issue tied to you. It has caused anguish in everyone, and some of us have wanted to die from this pain. For 30 years, my half-sister Julie believed that her dad was her biological dad. And because of your denials, I feel you have no consideration for the mothers, us as your biological children, or your wife and the 4 children you had with her. It was always about you. You lied. You still lie. You even have your family believing you, and that sickens me. Our mothers trusted you. Judge, I'm asking you to look at the depths of the reasons he's charged with. Objection! The judge reminded the victims that the court could only look at the charges that Dr. Klein pled guilty to, which was the obstruction of justice. Klein received a number of testimonials to his character from members of his community. These letters pled for leniency. The judge seemed very sympathetic towards him, almost on the verge of tears. She used overcrowded jails as part of the reason why he received no jail time. That and the fact that he had no criminal history on record.
I'm sorry. She, the judge, a she? I was expecting this to be like white man to white man. Not like a she.
I mean, he was very authoritative father figure. I feel like obviously he was able to get away with this for so long.
Yeah.
He just puts people in their place and they accept his authority because he is an elderly white man.
But I'm like, baby, you're the judge. What?
I know.
Okay. Also, every time we say father figure, I just keep singing Taylor Swift. Okay, thanks. Gotta go back.
That's the difference between our generations. I think of Madonna.
LOL.
Papa don't preach.
Yeah, but she actually says father figure in her song. It's called Father Figure.
Oh, I don't know that one.
You need to listen to it.
I need to get on board. I do like Ophelia.
Fate of Ophelia.
Fate of Ophelia. Fate of Ophelia.
They're all good.
All right. They're very good. I need to stop listening to so many podcasts and make time for some music again. Okay, so he wasn't going to receive jail time, But he received a conviction of 2 level 6 felonies with suspended sentences. So he was fined a $500 fine
Oh, wow.
and a slap. This was a slap in the face to his victims. The span of time from the initial complaint by Jacoba to his sentencing was 2 years. Victims expressed that they felt he was let off the hook, and yet the genetic matches keep coming. Sibling number 53, Carrie Foster. She says, I feel like this was a sick experiment for him. It was important to my parents that it was someone that was healthy, and for him to do this without their consent. And there are so many health issues. Many of us have the same thing, autoimmune diseases like blood clotting issues that cause miscarriages, colonoscopies, digestive and colon issues, and hospitalizations. And it turns out that Klein had almost had to stop surgery because of his autoimmune arthritis issues, and yet donors were turned away for similar issues. Sibling number 61,
Oh my God.
Allison Kramer. She took a 21andMe test because her and her children were both diagnosed with a genetic disorder. December 9th, 2019, Dr. Phil episode, she saw her half-siblings walk out on the stage and she just knew. She heard the whole story from there. The other part of her story was that Dr. Klein was also her OBGYN doctor.
Oh my gosh.
He did all of her pap smears and breast exams.
No.
She felt so violated. Nobody wants their family members to be the one person who examines them in such intimate and personal ways. To summarize, in total, 44 other doctors have been found to have done what Dr. Klein did, but he was the most prolific by far. As of 2022, 94 siblings have been revealed by DNA testing.
Wow.
Klein was not charged for secretly using his own sperm. Instead, he's pled guilty to the obstruction of justice for lying during the investigation. And his sentence didn't include prison time, and his medical license was only revoked after he retired. When he was asked to account for what he had done, Klein said, I helped create life.
He's all, I did what they asked.
In response to the Donald Klein case and the advocacy of victims, the Indiana General Assembly passed the Senate Enrolled Act 174, which went into effect July 1st, 2019. That law makes it a level 6 felony in Indiana for a physician to fraudulently use their own genetic material or otherwise misrepresent reproductive material in a fertility treatment without patient consent. It also establishes a civil claim for fertility fraud, allowing victims, including children, to seek compensatory or punitive damages or a liquidated minimum of $10,000. As for Dr. Klein, he retired from fertility practice in 2009 and surrendered his medical license in 2018 after his conviction for obstruction of justice. He received a suspended sentence and remains barred from practicing medicine. He reportedly lives a low-profile life in the Indianapolis area, and civil litigation related to his actions continues. This story isn't about a single bad actor. It's about what happens when medicine relies entirely on trust and offers no meaningful accountability when that trust is broken. It's about systems that protect institutions long after they fail patients. Fertility fraud did not come to an end because healthcare corrected itself. It slowed because technology removed control of the truth from clinics and placed it in the hands of individuals. Patients and their children found each other. They shared information. They documented patterns. They forced lawmakers to confront harm that had been ignored for decades. And even now, laws remain inconsistent. Oversight varies, and there are likely stories that have not even yet surfaced, waiting in databases that haven't been searched, tied to notifications that haven't been opened. For many people, a DNA test is just entertainment. For others, it's an unexpected trauma, challenging their identity and truth behind their very existence.
Wowzers. That is wild. I also think, there were 94 in total, but think of how many times it didn't work. Just because you do IVF doesn't mean it's going to result in a baby every time.
And think of how many more are out there.
Oh my gosh, what a sicko. I can't believe he did not get in any trouble at all.
And most of these were in a 25-mile radius. So we already know about almost 100 half siblings. Can you imagine? You
Yeah.
date, you fall in love, you get married to someone, and they turn out to be your half sibling. Like, or you could have, treated or identified a disease or an autoimmune
Mhm.
issue years in advance if you'd known that this was part of your genetic history. Like, it just goes way beyond. It just blows my mind that this was something that just kind of just was allowed to happen. Not to mention how disgusting it was that he blatantly lied to his patients and then went and did something
Mhm.
unprofessional
Yeah.
that belongs in the privacy of his home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Likely, that sort of thing only happens when you're aroused. And so he's getting off on his patient's exam. Like, there's just so many layers to this that just make me want to throw up. So,
And then some of them ended up being like his children or his
Right.
patients, and he
Sick,
was their
sick.
OB. That made my
so he
stomach
got
turn.
off with basically nothing, honestly, in my opinion. But
Well, Mr. Klein, if you ever hear this, you're disgusting puke, and no one likes you. Thank
I know in
you.
the documentary, one of the siblings was describing how, in this small town, she'd be walking around and just find herself staring at people like, are you one? Are you related to me? You kind of have my nose. Like, it would just, every aspect of your life would be affected, It's just crazy. Anyway,
Yeah, horrific.
to lighten the mood, we're going to talk about something spicy. Amanda, in the last 2 weeks, I have consumed, no lie, an entire box of 10 delicious meals from my first Human Club order. I love it so, so much
Oh,
because making these curries from scratch takes days. And we all talked about how I'm sort of a little bit competitive and OCD about my cooking. So this is already done for me. I don't have to go to the grocery store.
it's not just cooking, people. She's competitive of everything. But anyway, yes.
You can out
Sorry,
me
please
there.
go ahead.
But these are, and I was like, how good can it be? Because they're dehydrated, but it's so good and it tastes so fresh. And then I just buy like some naan bread or make some basmati rice and it just rounds it out and it's just so gorgeous. So 5 minutes or less, you can make these fragrant meals. That's the envy of anyone within spelling distance. So I brought some to work. And it's like, I swear there was a trail of people like, what is that? That smells so good. I could hear them in the distance like, ooh, sniff, sniff, sniff. What is that? What is that? So, you know what, y'all, you're missing out if you're not ordering Human Club. Embrace the essence of India with each meal and transform dinner or lunch into a cultural journey. Be the envy of your colleagues at lunchtime. Head on over to thecumanclub.com for 30 whopping % off your order when you use our exclusive promo code. No surprise, it's going to be Stay Suspicious at checkout. That's www.thecumanclub.com with promo code Stay Suspicious for 30% off. Here's a word about our sponsors. Producing podcasts is not free. If you'd want to support us, we earn a commission when you use our promo code Stay Suspicious at checkout with any of our sponsors. It's a win-win. You get a great deal on a fabulous product and you get to support our show.
Boop, 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 boop. Time for a medical mishap?
It sure enough is. Do you want to read it?
Sure. So this comes from Casey and obviously was sent to us. Subject line is, you have to hear this office visit story. All right, let's do it. Hey, Doctoring the Truth team, huge fan. Love your blend of real world medicine and human stories. I laughed out loud at the medical mishap by Taylor, the fruit fly lady, in episode 44, so I thought I'd share my own comically tragic trip to the clinic. If this is anything like Taylor's story, I already know we're going to love it. So, picture me at the doctor's office last spring, back for my first grown-up physical. Nothing dramatic, just the usual vitals, forms, and hope that my blood pressure hasn't skyrocketed since last time. The nurse hands me a dreaded paper gown and says, "Okay, Casey, take everything off and put this on and tie it in the back." Simple enough, right? But I'm only 18. I've never had to think about this stuff before. I've always had my mom around, but I told her not to come with me this time. Damn my stupid pride. Why did I think I could do this on my own?
Oh, bless Casey, you're all grown up.
Ugh, bye-bye.
Oh.
Cue the loudest internal monologue of my life. Tie in the back, but I can't see my back. Guess who comes out of the changing room like a confused fashion model with the gown backwards, ties in the front, opening in the back, confidently strolling out like it's a hot couture. This guy. The nurse just blinked twice, asked gently if I had it on the correct side. There was a moment of stunned silence. Then I just shrugged. The mirror was supportive. Turns out I was not the first. These funny miscommunications are basically a rite of passage at clinics everywhere. Plenty of patients and staff laugh about these sorts of moments. They even make lists of them online. But the real star moment came during the doctor's exam. After I explained my symptoms, nothing serious, the doctor paused with a puzzled smile and said it looked like my chart had a monster diagnosis that wasn't real. I swear the record had something that read like phantom abdominal chaos. Clearly a typo or scanning error or a severely disorganized fart. And suddenly we both were laughing at the idea that I might have afflicted with some mythical ailment. The doc had to assure me dryly, no, Casey, that's not an actual syndrome, though it feels like one sometimes. Ever since, I've been telling folks, never trust a gown you can't see from the back, and never assume your chart isn't secretly trolling you. Thanks for letting me share this. You've got me listening for Doctoring the Truth moments, even in my own doctor's office now. Keep up the great work, Casey.
Listen, if anything, we got the term severely disorganized fart out of this story. Which I think is fantastic.
Thank you, Casey.
Bless your heart, Casey. Listen, you're so grown up, getting your own physical at age 18 and call without your mama. I mean, honey, you're on the right track. You know, next time you see
you got this.
You'll know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. You got this.
Thank you for sharing. But meanwhile, Amanda, what can our listeners expect to hear next week?
I think we are going over to Oklahoma for a real doozy of a story. I just don't know if it's going to be long enough. So, because there's lots of victims and some of them were minors. And so there's not a lot of like information. It's a really icky, bad story.
That sounds horrible. Can't wait.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think we're going to Oklahoma, but we'll see.
We could do a mini-sode.
Yeah. A mini-sode, we could.
Yeah.
We could do like a mini-sode and I could like do something way more severely lighthearted. Or maybe we could sandwich like a medical mishap at the beginning and the end. Because you guys, it's really bad. But yeah, I could figure it out.
We'll talk offline.
We'll figure it out, you know?
It's like when I did Murder by MRI, but then talked about Dr. Liv. Yeah.
So we'll see, but I'm pretty sure we're going to Oklahoma because I'm already pretty deep into it and it's gross. So, bleh. And also this was recommended to me by someone. So, which they also said this is a doozy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's their fault. Thanks.
No.
No, we want your suggestions. Yep.
Yes. So stay tuned. We're probably going there and bring a puke bag. Okay. But until then, don't miss a beat. Subscribe or follow Doctoring the Truth wherever you enjoy your podcasts for stories that shock, intrigue, and educate. Trust, after all, is a delicate thing. You can text us directly on our website at doctoringthetruth@buzzsprout.com. Email us your own story ideas, medical mishaps, and comments at doctoringthetruth@gmail.com. Oh, excuse me, it is 8 p.m. Oh my god, this is way past my pumpkin time. Where are we? And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Doctoring the Truth Podcast and Facebook at Doctoring the Truth. And as you know, we're on TikTok at Doctoring the Truth and EdOddPod. Don't forget to download, rate, and review so we can be sure to bring you more content next week. Until then, stay safe and stay so special.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. 3, 2, 1.
Goodbye. 3, 2, 1, bye.